Says come up with, different kind of things. It's the problems of a black man. They scrutinize me, say they glorify me. In reality, they crucify me. They put me in an office that seems to be prestigious. They try to make me feel like I'm better than Jesus Christ. I don't know why they're motivated to put me in a position to be denigrated. It's an obvious scheme. It's a prejudiced dream put together by a racist team to salute me first, then pollute me. Anything I say to refute me. It's a simple psychology, a bad ideology. Sometimes I wish it was just mythology. The problems of a black man.
In with us so wide. A look at where we're going, a look at where we've been. A view of all that's happening with some of our good friends. Chance for conversation, a reason for a smile, a step in a new direction, looking with us a while.
How is mastery created? How is success nurtured? Is it nature or nurture? Join Looking In as we explore the success of one family who is producing world-class musicians, entrepreneurs, authors, and most importantly, kind, socially conscious citizens. I'm Keira, and I'm your host of Looking In. Bishop Robinson is obviously a man of faith, a family man, a business and community leader, an entertainment industry veteran. He's even been in movies. But there's one key characteristic that runs through the fiber of his entire family.
From the past, the legacy I got, for example, my grandfather taught me something. I took him out. I took him with me, or he took me to go preach when I was 16 years old. I was at this little church, I think in Media, Pennsylvania. He took me there and I said, I'm going to have my grandfather to get up and say something. And he got up, I'll never forget, he got up like this. He said, let me fix this stuff up. He was doing all like this. I said, gee, what is Daddy doing? So he went, he said, you know what? It's nice to be important. And everybody started laughing. He said, but it's more important to be nice. And that thing left a lasting impression on me. And even though I was the preacher of the night, I probably forgot what I preached. But I'll never forget what he said, which says something to me.
Just like he said, he remembered what his grandfather said. He told me one day when we was driving, he said, son, be not deceived, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. So that always, I just thought about that. It said, be not deceived. Don't think whatever you're doing that God doesn't see it. And everybody has to deal with him. So that gave me a self-accountability. Wow. So I don't care if a situation is wrong and somebody's wrong with me. I see what I did wrong in the situation. Right. I see too many people out here today that are just not accountable for what they did wrong. They always blame it on somebody else. I punched the wall because she made me mad. Right. I snapped, I just blacked out because if you don't take accountability for yourself. So I always just realized, like, yo, I gotta always do the right thing. And then I've always seen my dad be nice to people. He's not a nut or someone to be taken advantage of either. Right. But at the same time, he extends his kindness to people, even when sometimes they don't deserve it. It's one thing that he does, that he did throughout the years, and we would always go out to eat with tons of people, and he would always pay. Right. And to me, that was normal. So I would do that when I was out with my friends, and they'd be like, yo, like, thanks, man, I appreciate that. And I just seen, like, some people think of that as you wasted your money or whatever, but what he always told us was that when God sees you sow into other people's life, he's always going to give it back. So people might think they're getting over on you, but God always said that he's going to look out. So even if I do something for somebody and they don't return it, God always is going to return it. So it shouldn't be about me expecting anything in return. God is always going to return what you do good is always going to come back.
And you see the evidence.
You just see the evidence, and you just live that way. And then people will always remember that. Even if they try to get over on you, years down the line, they be like, man, like, yo, you always been the same way, man. What is it about what you do?
What I watch my dad do, which I think has always been dope, is he doesn't just do it when it's beneficial, right? So some people only do favors for people, or they only like are nice to people that can do something for them. It's like, okay, so that's so and so. I gotta keep them a certain way because they can do this for me.
Respect of persons.
Exactly, the respect of persons. And what I watched him do was just not always do that. And a story, I'll give a story on, even though this person, you know, the building we're in, right? So I don't know if you want to give this testimony or story, but the building that we're in, right? My dad had an event here before he owned the building, right? And however the math was done after the event, I believe that the guy who owned it owed you money. And it was a small amount, let's say a couple hundred. And he had people around him saying, you need to check this guy. He thinks he's going to get over X, Y, and Z. And my dad was like, nah, it's all right. We're just going to leave it alone. Right. You know what I mean? Like my brother said, not that he had nutted, nothing like that, but it's just like, maybe he needs it, right? So I watched years later how he was in position to get that building. Who knows what would have happened if he would have went against that guy or just said something crazy. But he saw it fit to be nice, just to be nice. Maybe this guy needs it, and that put him in a position, I believe, to even get the building in the first place. And it's not like that was his play. Like, I don't. It was just the right thing.
It's just, and that's very important to me. And my dad, he has managed to be impactful. Any room he goes into, he's leaving an impression. And it's not a bad one, it's a good one. And you leave and you say, wow. You know what I mean? It's just something about him. And that's something that I feel like I inherited. And you know, it's something that I don't take lightly. He always, you know, he doesn't have a problem with humbling himself in terms of doing every role. Sometimes people might come up to the church and see him sweeping, and they might not assume this is the bishop. This is all of his, because he does not have a problem with saying this needs to be done. I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? He's never too big. You know what I mean? And so that's one of another thing that I'm grateful for, because he instilled that in me, that humility, and just even treating everyone nice and kind. Something that's really important to me, like it's so important to me, is just being a nice person.
Remember now, he just turned 13 4 days ago. So as a 13-year-old, he started being our minister of music when, how old were you?
I think around 10 or 9.
Wow.
9 or 10. So
Wow. You feel when you're just up there in the church and you're the main one that has to control everything, the praise and worship, how does that feel? How does that go through your fingers? How does it go through your heart and your thought process when you're there?
It's a lot of thinking processes. I have sometimes, like when the bass player's there, when they get the wrong note, I have to tell them what's the right note sometimes.
Wow.
But what really got through me through praise and worship was really God. It's nothing else.
Right.
No matter how much practice I do, it's really God that gets me through all this pressure.
Right.
I couldn't go in the basement for a while. It was a surprise.
Right.
But I saw it early. I wanted to see it, so I saw it early. And I saw a black floor, a whole organ, the board, a keyboard, these drums. I was like, what?
always do something to make money legally. I better add the legal part to it, and primarily everything will work if you let it. So that's why the tools are necessary. Justin has a podcast studio in one of our facilities. The studio is so important. There's a recording studio here. Having the tools to make the money and understanding how to build that. Of course, Darrell is accomplished in where he is. Tiffany is doing what she's doing in her real estate, amongst other things. So it's the entertainment, the real estate, along with just understanding how to do a good business deal.
Right.
How to sit down and say, okay, how will this be translatable? Do I need to buy this house and keep it, or do I need to buy it and flip it in 6 months? That's something that she's, she has her license, I believe, right? Yeah, and yeah, she said it with dander. Of course, I was saying with Darrell, he's done records. He did Golden with Jill Scott, so he's got money coming in when he sleep. Because the biggest thing you want to do is when you sleep, you want checks to be coming in. So you want to have funds, and you want to build a legacy so that money's coming in while you could be home relaxing, and here comes a check. There's something I did. And all of them have learned that based on even the work that they did early on, where their mom really helped them in the acting realm. So they had that early on. And that's what's important to me. Jenny, he already has a full studio in the house. But again, understand it, because I'm telling you, you will make yourself valuable. Get what you need so that when you come to the table, you're bringing something that's worthy of my children. I always want the best for them, period. Wherever category they want to function in, however they want to function, I want the very best. So if whatever I can provide to help nurture that. So and in the days of Darrell, back then I used my cousin's studio. I rented a studio for him to learn production and to hone his craft. That was more important to me than going out and getting a car and getting a payment on the car. I'd rather pay so much money a month so he could learn.
Have everybody laugh. He's a people's person, whatever. So when it came to my time to shine, or whatever the case may be, I remember we did. I don't even know if you remember this, but I had an audition with Jazzy Jeff to do it was like an HBO show, and I went into audition for him. And Jazzy Jeff knew me since I was a young man. I was really like 7, 8 years old when I met him. But now I'm older, it's work, we're gonna be on TV. So, all right, let's see what you can do. You know what I mean? So I did my audition, I stunk it up. And my dad was like, Jeff, give me a second. Let me talk to him for a minute. And can we come back and do it again? He said, oh, no problem. And the conversation he basically had was just like, you have a gift. I don't care who you're in front of. When you have a chance to display your gift that God gave you, express yourself to your fullest ability. If they don't take you, that's fine. But always do your best. And I was just like, all right, cool. I went back in there and I was calm and I blazed it and I got the TV show. And after that, my mentality was always, I have a band called The Origin Band. I got to do a shameless plug there. But
This is Adam Blackstone.
I'm Darrell Robinson.
This is Dwayne Moore. I am Ray Holloman.
Our thing is we play better when the artists come in because something turns on. I don't care who's in the room. I didn't have Jay-Z and Beyonce watch me do a whole Coachella performance, but that just makes me go even more because I always think back to what my dad said. God gave you a gift. Expression. This is your gift. So do it. You know what I mean? And so when I'm comfortable and I'm doing what I do, because I'm not going to try to be like anybody else, I think that I can be successful that way. And when I go to I play with a lot of different people. Pharrell, we would have played with Jay-Z, we would have played with a lot of different people, and they always respect my gift. And I think that it's just based on that confidence that he gave me, that God has given me the gift and given me room to explore and to. Next show, we had. I told Boots, I said, man, let's just do us, man. Let's do what we do when we're home, when we're shedding, and let's just have fun. And
you guys want to see incredible drummers? MCB, get ready! Yeah!
We did that, and we were walking backstage after that second show, and he got between us and grabbed both of us on the shoulders. He was like, y'all dudes need to mess around, be my drummers, and we've been his drummers pretty much ever. Where's my sons at? Darrell and Jameer and Cadence. This is for them. This is for the young people, because we gonna come to church no matter what, because that's how we was raised.
My name is James Darrell Robinson III, and I'm an artist.
Let's get some rocks today. Let's get some cash today. I ain't even trying to make you mad today.
Hi, my name is Katie, and I'm 7 years old, and I like to, when I grow up, I want to be like a cardiologist, a dancer, an actor, and a singer.
I'm Jameer Robinson, and I play football, and I like math. I love.
And God says He made this world for us, as Pastor Katie said. He made this world for us. Now y'all want to ruin it? The creation that God made? All of us killing each other in the hood?
But I knew from the very beginning, like when I first met her, she was going to be a good mother. I knew it from the very beginning. And I don't know how I knew it, but everything that I thought that she was going to be, she is, and I think that that's a beautiful thing. But she definitely balances me out. Like I wouldn't try nothing new.
Really?
Like food wise, she's like, oh, this new spot.
We've been raised in a church, so I think that's where it starts. So it's what we know. It's our foundation. So the way we were raised, we want them to have the same thing, and to understand that God is everything. So when you start with Him and make Him the head of your life, then you can go through life and you can go through, just like period with that, knowing and having a faith that, you can have Him with you with anything that you do. Right. So when it comes to the foundation and going to a church, it's just that's where it starts.
For a number of reasons, I feel like that we have a lot of similarities as far as our faith base, and so it keeps us strong together, right? So like when I want to listen, I like listening to preaching, I like listening to gospel music. She's on with one accord with that, you know what I mean? She loves that. She's also she's very talented musically as well. I'm a musician, so it just makes sense. And she's very beautiful. She's a great mother, and just a great support to me throughout all of my time being employed in the music business. She was there before, so I know she's not just after me for my dough. And she don't really care anything about that as it relates to her coming up off of it. And some people are like opportunistic and wants to come up off of a situation just for that reason. So I feel like I can really trust her, and she's been holding me down. It's been 20 years?
Wow.
21 years.
I like to travel a little bit with him, but he's working, so it's not like I can be there and he's working.
Yeah, right. You always try to ride out. He's like, you going to LA? Oh yeah, I'm trying to go to LA. That was crazy. Make sure you got first class. So we enjoyed that.
It's been 21 years, so in the beginning, you're weary, you don't really know, but you have to, in any relationship, you have to trust somebody. So even if he's in Ireland or around the corner, it's still the same type of trust, So once you learn that and you know a person and you know how they are, you just have to trust the person.
Right.
And knowing that, that's the step that you take to for him to pursue his dreams.
Right.
And he's always did it for us. So how could you? It kind of makes it easier, you know what I'm saying? Because he does everything for us from a young age, from 19. So it's just that really eases it because me being 15, he was truly a man at that age, and has always been. So it's really. You know, and we have a great communication, and you know, he's just not on the road, and I'm not hearing from him. You know, we communicate through it.
I'm boring, so after the show, I'll be in the road. I'm like, they trying to get me to go out, but I'm chilling.
Get a snack and go to
So
bed.
she know, like, he ain't doing that. He don't even want to go out to the club.
In with us so wide.
I want to interrupt you, but how did you, before you even did that, you had to hone that. How did you hone that before you even prepared for Jazzy Jeff? Like, were you just in the church and at home, so you got those key skills?
So I think that I honed them skills from, I believe my cousin Anthony Bell. He's a composer, and my uncle French, my professor French. He's a composer as well. So what we would do is, like, on Sundays, he would always like sing one of his songs, but he would do it a different way every Sunday. Interested in, like, wow, that's so dope. It's like one day he'll play it slow, it'll make it a ballad. Then the next day he'll play it with a upbeat, and then the next day he'll make it like a 6/8 groove. I'm like, this is crazy. So I've kind of learned that sitting under people just composing and arranging on the spot. So I think that that really kind of, it's crazy. Nobody's ever asked me that, but I think that's where I got it from. And
because your gift incubated within your family and within your church.
Absolutely. And I used to listen to a lot of music, a lot of great music over and over and over and over again. So like the Winans and Commission, that stuff was just so well put together. So I would just listen to the different parts, and not just the drums, but I would listen to the keyboards. I would listen to the vocals, the horns, and the bass. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, how did they do all of this? You know what I mean? So like when I was able to sit down with a band, I was able to say, like, okay, I would go back in my mind. I'd be like, okay, the Winans did a segue like this, so we should do something like that. And then I would take what they did and kind of like, you know, kind of emulate that. You know what I mean? So that's how I learned how. My cousin Anthony was working for Touch of Jazz, which is Jazzy Jeff Studio. He had a lot of great producers down there, Carvin Ivan, Dre and Vidal, Ant was down there. It was Peanut was down there. It was a few really great guys that were down there, and I had known them since, and Keith Pelzer and D, they were down at the studio or whatever. So he was like, I'm Anthony's cousin, and Harold is his cousin. That's my cousin that plays the bass, Harold Robinson. So he was like, yo, Jill Scott is working on an album. You know, let's just do what we do at the church and come down and let's work on some records. So I was like, cool. So he had some pre-recorded things that he already did, like ideas. So we just basically played over.
And this is Anthony.
This is Anthony. I'm sorry. This is Anthony.
Okay.
He had some pre-recorded stuff that he played on, that he some ideas, but we used to flush it out. And I knew Jazzy Jeff because I worked with him earlier. So it was like, oh, this is little girl, what you doing? Oh, you playing with music? And oh, you doing your thing now. So it was like, it was awesome. You know what I mean? So I was accepted. At that time, I didn't have a car. So we did 3 records. So my dad was coming to pick me up, and obviously he was late. So, so I just went back in on the drums, and I just started playing a beat. And Ant came out and started playing the chords to Golden. Wow. He was like, yo, let's record this real quick. We recorded it, one take, and that's what you hear for Golden. It was one take, that was it. We recorded, that was one take. We recorded that one take, and that was it. He called me the next day like, yo,
she taking that song for her single. I'm like, what song? I'm thinking it was one of the 3 songs that we did. He was like, no, the joint that we did last. I was like, really? He was like, yes, yo, we got the single. And that's one of her biggest records. So that was really, really big for me. And then I ended up getting that gig. So I started playing with Jill. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I've always had a good mind for creating music and putting it together. Mm-hmm. Right. So I just happened to a good friend of mine, Aaron Draper, he was actually Jasmine Sullivan's drummer. She was like 13, and I was like maybe 16 at the time, and he had got another gig playing with the Jazzy Fat Nasties. If you don't know who they are, they're kind of like the people that started with the Roots. They started the 5 Spot and the Black Lily.
Okay, got it.
So, you know, so they kind of started that whole movement. Rich Nichols, which was a great mentor to all of us. He raised us, basically was the manager of the Roots, and he was married to one of the Jazzy Fat Nasties. So Aaron had received that gig. So Jasmine was left drummerless. So he hit me up like, listen, man, I need you to hold me down and go to these rehearsals. Jasmine, she lives in the Strawberry Mansion. She actually lived in the Strawberry Mansion in Philadelphia, allowed them access to that. So we rehearsed in Strawberry Mansion, which was crazy. So so I would just go into the rehearsals or whatever the case may be. And we were like doing the different songs and things like that. But I saw a need for leadership, right? So I just stepped into that role and just started, you know, putting the songs together, song order, and making the arrangements just naturally, just because, you know, it was just like, it was something that I was just naturally doing. So they made me the musical director. That was really big because, you know, I'm still doing that to this day. So it's from starting. In the ways of God, so they won't depart. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's my daughter. Look how beautiful she is. My kids, I got some beautiful kids, and my wife, she'd be holding me down. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing, but I just want to train my kids up the right way because that's the foundation that I was given. And, you know, when I had rough times in my life, I had a stroke and God healed me. He healed me. I was paralyzed on the left side of my body. And my dad just whispered in my ear, he said, if you can't say the name of Jesus, just think the name of Jesus. And instantaneously, I got my feeling back. That's a blessing. That's a blessing. So don't nobody gotta tell me that God is real. I know he's real. My grandma used to say, you don't know like I know what he's done for me.